Hello there, Commonwealth from here. Nintendo is after a break in July back to Nintendo Directs, as we saw with the excellent and very detailed Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave Direct to start off August. So is Zelda Ocarina of Time Remake next to be getting new footage? And if it is to be the first Zelda Direct, when? More importantly though, has Nintendo accidentally leaked one of the biggest future reveals? No, not the price, but the release date. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell. With the age rating in place, we now also know that there's an amiibo release on Thursday, November 12th. No, it isn't for Ocarina of Time, or even Zelda for that matter. Instead, it is for Kirby Air Riders, the first one of these being Nord DDD and Hydra amiibo, and the second one is the Sword Kirby and Dragon amiibo. Both of them accidentally published by Nintendo UK in their store, and their release date is very interestingly November 12th. As Nintendo has no games announced or confirmed for November, and Ocarina of Time remains the only of Nintendo's games confirmed for 2026 to still be missing a date. Hence why it was very odd when Nintendo UK first posted this for November 11th, before changing it to November 12th, before ultimately deleting both listings from their website. And when something is published and deleted, it is suspicious, as there's been a pattern for this Nintendo Switch 2 generation where the launch of new amiibo coincides with game releases. Why? Money opportunities, as launch days brings more people to Nintendo's own stores in Japan, the US, and retailers globally. Even though it is a different game or series, people are more likely to pick up a physical new amiibo with a physical new copy of a game, especially the final version of Ocarina of Time. We all know that we will want the Ocarina remake physically, especially if it comes on a golden cartridge like Ocarina of Time originally did on the N64 in 1998. Hence why the probability of Thursday, November 12th. But it also would make sense for these reasons as well, and we have a couple of them. So be sure to absolutely watch this video until the end. As November 12th is 3 weeks after Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, and Nintendo likes to have these numbers of weeks at minimum between their own releases. Yes, in 2025, we had only 2 weeks from Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment to Kirby Air Riders, and then again from that game to Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. But at the same time, we have to remember that we're not seeing as many releases in November and December 2026, especially not from Nintendo, as what was the case in the Nintendo Switch 2's launch year of 2025. Meaning that there's more room to have a few more weeks between releases, as we see now from Splatoon Raiders to Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave to Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, and then from that game to Ocarina of Time Remake. November 12th, so 3 weeks after Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, would also work for the following reason, namely B. Zelda Ocarina of Time Remake release being before the Game Awards nomination deadline, as this one is usually around November 20th. In most cases, games need to be out at least a week prior to be in the consideration, because we need to have both the critical reviews but also user reviews for the nomination process to be serious, and also people being able to actually play through the games. And that could be important because while we are seeing a certain different game is likely not gonna be meeting these criteria, and thus not being a competitor for Game of the Year of 2026. That is of course how we see Grand Theft Auto 6, and it is very important to have at least 1 week buffer to sell out a potential themed system and controller and smash remake records before the big GTA 6 launches on Thursday, November 19th. Yes, people have been joking about that Ocarina of Time Remake should deliberately launch on the same day, November 19th, because this is the highest rated game of all time, and we already had that situation with Animal Crossing versus Doom Eternal. But the situation is a little bit reversed this time, and we know that GTA 6 is gonna sell more. That is just fact. Because this game, at least among adults, overshadow absolutely everything. But there are a few things that we need to keep in mind. For one, GTA 6 is not launching on the Nintendo Switch 2 on the same day as the PS5 and Xbox Series. And secondly, it's M-rated, meaning that gamers between 10 and 18 years, those who can play Ocarina of Time Remake, should not play GTA 6, and retailers sell to them this game. As a result, due to GTA's mature rating, I believe Nintendo isn't too concerned. With that said, I still think that they might want at least a 1 week buffer, and personally, seeing the nature of GTA 6, it would probably be even better with a 2 week buffer, hence why I until now have been pointing to Thursday, November 5th. But with that said, 1 week is also a solid buffer, because you're still coming out before the game. The other reason why I thought we were gonna end up with November 5th is Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment launched November 6th last year. But we also know that for Nintendo it is probably more important to spread out their own releases. That is to say, for the second half of the year. And it needs to be done equally. And as we have seen so far, that is 1 month at least. So 3 weeks will still be the shortest by far of all of them. And then it is just enough to avoid launching on the same week as GTA 6. Especially since this is Zelda Ocarina of Time Reborn, likely the final and ultimate version, so Nintendo needs to launch this game at a point in the year where people will be there day one. November, the old Zelda month, where we had the launch of the original A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time on November 21st, 1998, and later down the line, Skyward Sword on November 18th, 2011 as the 25th anniversary Zelda game, and that was, of course, after Ocarina 3D. We had in November A Link Between Worlds in 2013 on November 22nd. And the Black Friday is only 2 weeks away after this release point, so November 12th for Ocarina of Time Remake, and offers a perfect second sales wave for Nintendo, especially in Western market, where no doubt Zelda will sell the most copies. But also really in Japan, where it's more likely that Ocarina of Time could maybe even sell more than GTA 6. And that is all to start a real push into the holiday month of December, selling more Nintendo Switch 2 systems, especially after the price hike in September. So think Zelda 40th anniversary / Ocarina of Time Switch 2 themed system and controller, plus naturally possible amiibo, where I would suggest the following Triforce: Link, Zelda and Ganondorf, but in the younger forms. So in that case, Child Link pulling the Master Sword, Child Zelda with the Ocarina of Time, and Ganondorf on his horse. Now that is an impossible trio to resist. But when will we see Zelda Ocarina of Time Remake again? Most likely not this month in August, seeing that Nintendo just posted their Gamescom lineup. Well, for now the public one. And there we see very clearly Ocarina of Time Remake is not present. That is unless they surprise us again like they did with Kirby Air Riders last year in 2025. That is to say, dropping a surprise direct and then playable demo at Gamescom. But if that doesn't happen, an October Switch Sports Resort is the big game of the show, we're by all indications waiting until September. In fact, with the more now likely as we've gone over Thursday, November 12th release day, Nintendo could potentially wait until September 10th before showing more and then unleashing a massive 2-month marketing campaign, similar to what was the case for Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Minus the fact that that one got a brief trailer during the July partner showcase, where a new partner showcase could actually be coming this month in August, and could also be paired with an indie world, as we haven't seen any of those two since February. But to be fair, our only hope for a trailer this month would be for a Zelda Direct. But since a Zelda Direct has never happened before, I don't feel like we should expect one, and instead be positively surprised if we get such a presentation in a month that is still before Fire Emblem's Fortune's Reef's release. And a Zelda Direct this month or even in September would be a massive bonus, as that would mean that we have the final release date from Nintendo directly with the final price, and the fact that pre-orders and box art has also been revealed. But at the same time, November 12th is not 100% certain, and that is because so far in the first half in 2026 we have seen Nintendo games come out and no amiibo with them. And then I mean Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, and most significantly the Star Fox Remake. So we need to take all of this with a grain of salt. And this is also why we have a question mark in the title of this video, as it isn't 100% certain. I'll be more confident on this when Nate the Hate actually drops the day, but not 100% certain, as we also saw him miss slightly on the timing of the Star Fox reveal and direct. And he also promised to be more careful when it comes to those days. No matter what, it is clear that November 12th would make sense for all the above mentioned reasons, and is the by far final date to make it for the Game Awards nominations, and to get attentions and sales before GTA 6 will no doubt break sales records even when you're launching the reborn version of the highest rated game of all time. But what do you think about all of this? Sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press notification bell with all notifications on. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching, and to all our patreon.com/commonrealm patrons, with special shoutouts to our heroes, Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf and Kintaro. You rock, and please enjoy these awesome videos.